Okay, let's unpack this. We are stepping directly into a world of, well, intense, subjective, and sometimes wildly controversial musical rankings.
We really are.
We're analyzing the findings of one of the internet's most dedicated long-running series, Greenstarox's Album Quest, which is this massive undertaking dedicated to find, and this is the goal, nothing less than the best album of all time.
It's a mission statement of breathtaking ambition. And what makes this quest so compelling, far beyond just a simple critical list, is the methodology.
Yes.
It's a genuine tournament, a gauntlet where musical legends and deep cuts alike are forced to fight for survival.
Exactly. And the core mechanics are, they're brilliantly simple, right? But they create this fascinating, almost Darwinian selection process.
That's the perfect word for it, Darwinian. The albums are just thrown into these randomized groups. It's completely blind to genre, blind to decade.
Even commercial success doesn't matter at that stage.
Not at all. You might have a 70s funk masterpiece battling a 2000s techno compilation. It's chaos.
And once they're in a group, the reviewer has one job.
Just one. Rank them from best to worst within that group. And that ranking is everything because it dictates who survives.
Right. And these early rounds, round 1 and 2, only the top 2 albums in any group proceed.
Yeah.
The bottom 2 are just gone.
They're eliminated, yeah. It doesn't matter what their cultural significance is in the real world. In the quest, they're out.
And the commentary itself is, well, it's half the fun. It's not some dry academic exercise.
Oh, absolutely not. It's this fantastic, often hilarious blend. You get serious music critique, sure, but also deeply personal feelings, sometimes aggressive bias.
And wildly irreverent commentary. It's an intellectual journey that really forces you to question your own musical hierarchies.
Which brings us to today's mission. We are undertaking an album quest analysis, focusing specifically on the results of round 2, group 36.
And focusing on round 2 is so crucial because the stakes have been, significantly amplified.
Exactly. But these aren't just random albums pulled from the ether. These are 4 albums that have already survived a brutal qualification round 1.
They've proven they have that initial quality or the replay value or, I guess, the sheer critical cachet to move forward. They are the best of the best.
Or at least the best of their first round groups.
Right.
Precisely. To make it to round 2 is a badge of honor. But now, in this group of 4 survivors, only 2 can secure their spot in round 3. This is where the subjective criteria of the album quest are really, really stress-tested.
Separating the great albums from the merely very good ones.
That's it.
So let's introduce the 4 high-caliber survivors battling it out in Group 36. And it is a wonderfully disparate group. It covers multiple musical generations and, radically different style.
It really does. So the contenders that have already proven themselves once are...
Okay.
Number 1, Room Service by the Swedish pop powerhouse, Roxette.
A classic.
Then Feelin Good, which is a very broad compilation album with various artists.
The compilation, always a tricky one.
Very tricky. Number 3, 1984 by the undisputed hard rock titans, Van Halen.
Okay, a real heavyweight.
And finally, number 4, The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby and The Range.
Wow. So we have maximalist 80s swagger, sophisticated piano-driven storytelling, sentimental pop, and a historical collection of hits. What a collision of sound.
It is.
This forces the reviewer to compare, apples to oranges and judge them by a very specific, unified metric of what makes an album good.
And that metric, as we're about to see, often comes down to narrative cohesion and sustained artistic intent, which makes the elimination of some truly famous names here.
Wow.
Inevitable.
Before we dive into the fatal Group 36 rankings, we really have to spend some time appreciating the context here.
Absolutely.
Every one of these 4 albums secured a victory over some significant competitors just to get here. Understanding what they defeated in round 1 gives us that crucial baseline for the quality level that's expected in round 2.
This step is vital for our album quest analysis. A victory is pretty meaningless if the competition was weak. But the competition in round 1 for these 4 albums was anything but weak. Let's start with the one that came closest to being eliminated in its original group, 1984 by Van Halen.
Okay, so 1984 qualified second in its first group, which was round 1, group 66. So it had a tough fight right out of the gate, just securing its spot behind the winner.
And the winner of that group was Road to Hell by Chris Rea.
Oh, interesting.
It is, isn't it? That's already an interesting choice. It suggests the reviewer values the atmospheric, blues-tinged soft rock of Rea's album slightly more than the synth rock bombast of Van Halen.
Yeah, that's a statement. But let's look at who Van Halen eliminated.
This is where we see the weight of the Van Halen name. It successfully beat out Beaches by Bette Midler.
Wow. I mean, that's not just an album. That's a cultural touchstone. A massive soundtrack with huge sentimental resonance and, of course, Wind Beneath My Wings.
It is, and the reviewer judged the intrinsic quality of 1984's rock music to be superior to that emotional commercial juggernaut.
And maybe even more telling, at least for the hard rock genre, it eliminated Euphoria by Def Leppard.
Precisely. Euphoria was Def Leppard's attempt in the late 90s to sort of recapture the success of their peak 80s sound.
A comeback album.
A comeback album. And the reviewer clearly found 1984's execution, its technical precision, its pioneering use of synthesizers, and of course, Dave Lee Roth's unique swagger far superior to Def Leppard's late-era efforts. So 1984 enters round 2 as a solid contender. It's validated by defeating nostalgia and late-era hard rock, but it's not an outright champion from its group.
Okay, now let's pivot to a true champion from round 1, The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby and the Range. This album made a definitive statement about its quality by qualifying first in round 1, Group 1.
This is extremely significant. Hornsby's debut went head-to-head with genuine titans of progressive and commercial rock.
Who are we talking about?
His round 1 opponents included Pink Floyd's A Momentary Lapse of Reason and Genesis's We Can't Dance.
Wait. It beat A Momentary Lapse of Reason and We Can't Dance?
It did. It topped the group.
That is a staggering claim of quality. To top a group that includes Pink Floyd and Genesis, I mean, those are albums that command decades of critical respect, suggests the reviewer found something structurally and emotionally superior in Hornsby's work.
Well, it's a statement about craftsmanship and integrity over spectacle, isn't it?
It has to be.
While A Momentary Lapse of Reason brought back Pink Floyd with massive production and We Can't Dance was Genesis's final huge commercial success, the reviewer clearly rated the organic depth, the sophisticated musicianship, and the narrative focus of The Way It Is as possessing higher long-term value. Hornsby arrives in Group 36 as a top seed equivalent. He's already shown superiority over stadium rock behemoths.
Okay, next up, the album that secured victory over both commercial pop and heavy metal. Room Service by Roxette.
Roxette mirrored Hornsby, qualifying first in round 1, Group 56, and they defeated some serious global contenders, which shows that the reviewer has a high baseline of respect for their specific brand of pop perfection.
Who did they beat?
They defeated the Greatest Hits compilation from the Backstreet Boys.
Wow. A massive collection representing the absolute peak of 90s and sitters boy band dominance. That is a purely commercial juggernaut.
It is. But the Roxette album, despite being an original studio effort that, as we'll find out, was even considered a letdown by the reviewer,
Right.
it was still judged to have more merit than a collection of guaranteed chart-topping hits. It prioritized the continuity of Roxette's artistry.
And they also eliminated Def Leppard's classic Pyromania.
This is the crucial comparison. Roxette's Room Service is a post-millennium pop effort. Pyromania is a canonical 80s hair metal album.
An absolute classic.
A classic. And the fact that the reviewer saw Roxette's album as having superior quality or maybe just more consistent execution within its own genre tells us that pure melodic pop strength is highly valued in the quest, even over nostalgic heavy metal masterpieces. So Roxette enters round 2 as a champion of melodic integrity.
And finally, we have the outlier in this group, the general collection, Feelin Good, the one with various artists.
The compilation, it scraped through, qualifying second in round 1, Group 206. It actually lost to Hip Young Guitar Slinger, which is another compilation, this one featuring Jimmy Page. So it survived in a compilation-heavy group.
But to get here, it had to defeat some surprisingly contemporary albums. The reviewer chose this broad-ranging compilation over Coldplay's A Head Full of Dreams
Wow.
and Blue Sky Research by Taproot.
This proves the album quest is truly genre agnostic, doesn't it?
It really does.
A well-curated collection spanning decades, even if it lacks that singular artistic vision, can still possess enough quality density to beat modern stadium anthems and new metal efforts.
But now as we move into round 2, the question becomes, does quality density beat singular artistic vision?
Exactly. All 4 are now tested survivors, but their past victories offer absolutely no guarantee here.
And now the moment of elimination for Group 36. 2 must fall. And we start with the one that landed in the dreaded last place.
That distinction, perhaps predictably given the reviewer's implied bias toward cohesive single-artist works, goes to the compilation.
Feelin Good.
Feelin Good, yes.
And this wasn't a failure of track quality, was it? It was a failure of sort of genre definition within the quest.
Yeah.
The reviewer made their stance very clear regarding compilations in these later stages.
They did. The reviewers stated explicitly that compilations are going to have their work cut out in round 2 and must provide a really strong, cohesive experience to compete with bespoke studio albums.
Right.
By round 2, when you're facing albums that topped groups, including Pink Floyd and Genesis, the required level of quality, of intentionality, and narrative structure rises dramatically.
And a collection of hits, just by its very nature, struggles to match that.
It really does.
But what's fascinating is the reviewer doesn't trash the quality. They confirm this is a bona fide quality compilation packed with iconic songs. They're not arguing the songs are bad. They're arguing the album is flawed.
And the historical breadth is stunning. It's a literal tour through classic pop and rock history. We start back in the 50s with the pure energy of Summertime Blues by Eddie Cochran. Then we transition into the 60s with hits from Herman's Hermits and the Lovin' Spoonful.
Then into the disco and new wave of the 70s with Blondie's Dreaming and the irresistible grooves of KC and the Sunshine Bands. That's the way I like it.
And it just keeps going. We hit the slick 80s production with Haircut 100's Fantastic Day and the sophisticated sound of the Style Council's Shout to the Top.
And the 90s are represented by the massive global force of the Spice Girls Say You'll Be There, and the smooth soul of Charles and Eddie. It is undeniably a treasure trove of radio history.
Plus, you've got these deep cuts that stand the test of time, like Harry Nilsson's melancholic classic, Everybody's Talkin', the soulful excellence of Soul 2, Souls Back to Life, and the Four Tops Loco in Acapulco.
So how could an album that is literally this packed with classic music fail? How does it end up in last place?
Well, the very characteristic that makes it excellent ultimately doomed it. The reviewer found it so long and varied that after a while you start to feel like you're just listening to a classic hits radio station.
Yeah, there it is.
That is the fatal diagnosis. Lack of a cohesive narrative or a sustained artistic vision. A cohesive album builds on itself. This compilation just resets every 4 minutes.
In the album quest, individual tracks are secondary to the overall experience.
Precisely.
And this lack of cohesion gave the reviewer space to critique the compilation on an even deeper, more humorous level. The thematic integrity regarding the title, Feelin Good.
This is where the commentary becomes deliciously specific, and it really reveals the reviewer's focus on integrity. The compilation is literally promising a feeling of euphoria, but a number of the tracks directly contradict that premise.
Okay, this is where we need to spend some time analyzing the artistic license. Let's take the Supernatural's track, Smile.
The reviewer immediately questions the inclusion, noting that the happiness conveyed in that particular track is, and I quote, clearly an ironic take.
Right, so if you're building an album around pure, simple joy, incorporating irony fundamentally fractures the promise of the title.
It's thematic sabotage.
Then you have tracks like The Bay City Rollers' Bye Bye Baby.
I mean, that track is definitively a song about separation and goodbye. While the rhythm might be upbeat, the lyrical content is about profound loss or abandonment.
The reviewer humorously poses the question. Maybe they felt good about that.
Right.
But in the context of a compilation titled Feelin Good, the song is just contextually unsound. It introduces a note of melancholy and finality that actively works against the album's stated goal.
And the final nail in the coffin, Charles and Eddie's Would I Lie to You.
Another great song, but...
A great song, but that track, by its very nature, carries a strong whiff of deceit, a focus on uncertainty and the potential for betrayal. It's emotionally complex, which is fine for a pop song, but terrible for a compilation dedicated to simple, straightforward emotional buoyancy.
This analysis leads to a really interesting speculative moment from the reviewer. Was this lyrical oversight genuine, or was it a calculated decision to just pump those numbers up by including highly recognizable hits, regardless of thematic fit?
And it seems highly likely to be the latter, doesn't it?
It does.
Commercial compilers prioritize chart performance and instant recognition over thematic cohesion. And in the album quest, that commercial calculation is penalized heavily. Integrity matters. And if your title promises euphoria but delivers irony, loss, and deceit, you are going to finish last.
So Feelin Good is eliminated in 4th place, which leaves us with a 3rd place finisher, one that Feelin Good actually rivaled for the spot, Room Service by Roxette.
And this is a failure rooted not in compilation chaos, but in internal comparison.
What do you mean by that?
Exactly. This is a letdown rooted in the artist failing to meet their own extremely high standards. When the album first came out in 2001, the reviewer admits finding it a bit of a letdown.
That initial disappointment is a key data point. I mean, Roxette had a track record of producing absolute pop gold. So when revisiting it for the Quest, tracks like Make My Head Go Pop and Real Sugar just didn't deliver the usual punch. They were described as a bit lacking in the cool and engaging depth.
However, the act of revisiting the album for this Quest provided an interesting reevaluation. It forced the reviewer to look beyond that initial disappointment and assess the core quality.
And the core quality is there.
Oh, it's undeniable. This is high-grade craftsmanship. The production, the mastering, the sonic identity, it sounds undeniably like Roxette. It's polished, expertly performed, and technically proficient. Real Sugar is noted as setting a high bar for that familiar, polished pop sound that Roxette perfected in the late 80s and 90s.
Let's delve deeper into the specific musical characteristics that define its sound. The melodies are sweet and saccharine, often reaching for lots of high notes and lofty scales.
And lyrically, the album is judged as very strong, maintaining the sophisticated emotional content that many pop acts just overlook.
But here's the critical analytical point for this album Quest. Technical excellence and high-grade craftsmanship alone could not save it from elimination.
That's right.
While the album is solid and pleasant, it failed to generate enough momentum, that intangible spark, to clear the round 2 hurdle.
So we need to ask why. In a round 2 group where you are competing with the sophisticated genre blending of Bruce Hornsby and the raw, aggressive clarity of Van Halen, Roxette's reliance on the familiar sweet and saccharine sound may have signaled a lack of artistic risk-taking.
Something the reviewer penalizes severely.
Exactly. It's too comfortable, too predictable, even if it's perfectly executed.
Were there specific compositions that fought hard for its survival, though? Any standouts?
Absolutely. The reviewer cited a few really wonderful compositions that momentarily elevated the experience. Milk and Toast and Honey, which has that gorgeous, slightly melancholic feel that Roxette does so well.
I know that one. It's beautiful.
It is. Also Jefferson, and It Takes You No Time to Get Here. But the ultimate standout, the track that truly demonstrated the album's potential, was the album Closer. My World, My Love, My Life.
That Closer provides the emotional depth that often makes a good album great. But in the end, it was too little. Too late. So what was the final verdict?
The fatal flaw was, again, internal comparison. The reviewer concluded this probably ranks as Roxette's least strongest album in their catalog.
Ouch.
It was a solid, highly professional effort, certainly capable of eliminating a boy band collection and a Def Leppard classic in round 1, but it was ultimately judged to be way short of the top 2 albums here in Group 36. It just didn't bring the necessary emotional or stylistic impact required to compete with true genre-defining works.
So the lesson of the eliminations for the album Quest is brutal. Feelin Good failed due to a fundamental, non-cohesive structure, while Room Service failed because it was too weak relative to the artist's established peak. It lacked that critical mass of artistic weight for the high stakes of round 2.
The Quest demands peak performance and unified vision. Neither of the eliminated albums provided both.
Now we transition to the victors, the 2 albums proceeding to round 3, representing a perfect stylistic dichotomy. We're moving from high-grade craftsmanship that didn't quite make the cut to 2 albums defined by a superior, cohesive artistic identity.
And one is defined by a silky ingredient, while the other is pure, unadulterated speed metal overdrive.
A great contrast. Let's start with our second-place qualifier, the album that won the battle of sophistication over Roxette's polish, The Way It Is, by Bruce Hornsby and the Range.
The reviewer awarded second place to Hornsby's debut, citing its success as stemming from understated charm and musical quality. This was not a victory based on immediate flash or bombast. It was a win based on textural and emotional depth.
A slow burn.
A slow burn, exactly. The reviewer explicitly describes the album as a joy on repeated listens, emphasizing that every single song possesses the quality to stand alone as a wonderful piece of craft.
And for the album Quest, especially in the later rounds, that consistent high-level craftsmanship and depth is the metric that separates the truly enduring albums from the commercial hits.
It really is.
And this silky ingredient that the reviewer notes, it contrasts so sharply with Van Halen's aggression. It must speak to the sophistication of the arrangement and production.
Absolutely. This album is a masterclass in genre blending. It demonstrates a musical maturity that's rarely seen in a debut. It successfully weaves together at least 4 major components: rock, pop, jazz, and bluegrass elements. This is a complex sonic landscape that requires immense talent to synthesize without sounding, disjointed.
So for our listeners, let's unpack that blending a little. Where do we specifically hear the jazz and bluegrass elements that elevate this beyond standard 80s pop rock?
Well, the jazz influence is most apparent in the piano work itself. Hornsby's style often uses syncopation, complex chord voicings, and extended improvisational passages that move far beyond standard rock piano.
Right.
And the bluegrass elements, while subtle, often appear in the acoustic guitar and mandolin textures and the specific cadence of the folk storytelling. You can hear it in the rustic soundscapes that underpin tracks like Mandolin Rain. This blending creates a unique atmosphere far removed from the saccharine simplicity of Roxette.
And speaking of atmosphere, the lyrical strength is a defining characteristic, isn't it? This album is so deeply rooted in narrative and American history.
The lyrical content provides the narrative cohesion that the Quest so highly prizes. It focuses on boyhood tales of the great Virginia expanse and stories of the everyday working man. It grounds the music in a specific time and place.
This isn't generic love poetry.
Not at all. It's specific, lived-in experience.
Songs like Mandolin Rain, which is just steeped in nostalgia and memory, The River Runs Low, and The Wild Frontier, they all contribute to this sense of shared narrative in Americana.
It's an album telling a specific unified story, which, as we saw with the compilation, is the antithesis of that classic hits radio station effect. Even the famous hit single, The Way It Is, despite its commercial success, serves a narrative purpose. It deals with issues of poverty and social justice.
And the reviewer acknowledges the single drove sales, but confirms the quality runs deep and the entire album remains a delight.
It does.
So, The Way It Is moves forward based on its refined genre-blending craft, its narrative integrity, and its consistency of quality across all tracks. It won the war of sophistication.
A well-deserved second place, qualifying it for round 3.
And now, our Group 36 champion, taking the top spot with a force that none of the others could match. 1984 by Van Halen.
This is a victory for pure, unadulterated rock energy and attitude. The reviewer leaves no doubt, immediately asserting that the album is undeniably cooler than anything in this group. It provides an awesome atmospherical experience, matched with a persistent, infectious, good time vibe.
It's the definitive 80s swagger album, isn't it? It signals its intentions right from the start with the absolute statement track, Jump.
Oh yeah, described here as a mega synth metal pop track.
A perfect description.
Jump is a perfect sonic manifesto for the album. It successfully integrates the cutting edge of 80s technology, the synthesizer, without sacrificing the raw power of the guitar. It's a track that just shouts confidence and experimentation, setting an expectation for the rest of the listening experience.
And before we get too lost in the sound, we have to dedicate time to the reviewer's commentary on the title itself, specifically the stylized official title, MCML XX4F.
Yes. This is a great moment of irreverence. The reviewer points out the pretentiousness of the Roman numerals, offering the hilarious critique that the album would barely have sold 10 copies if the record sleeve didn't have 1984 on it somewhere.
And the final word on the matter captures the spirit of the Quest perfectly. I think we can all agree that Roman numerals are pretty stupid.
It just shows the reviewer is willing to puncture any high art pretension in favor of clarity and accessibility.
I love that. But humor aside, the real reason for the #1 ranking lies in the sustained dynamism of the music. Beyond Jump, the album is relentless.
It is. You've got Panama with its chunky and electrifying riff, a track that perfectly embodies the hard rock ethos, and 2 other essential tracks cited are Hot for Teacher and I'll Wait.
The performance analysis here is key to its dominance, though. This album captures the band at a peak moment, just before David Lee Roth's first major departure. It's a showcase of their explosive, unique chemistry.
Absolutely. Dave Lee Roth is noted as swaggering more than ever before, literally embodying these lyrics like no one else could. He is the personification of that good time vibe, giving the album its undeniable personality and charisma.
And while Roth delivers the attitude, Eddie Van Halen provides the technical backbone, going into speed metal overdrive throughout. But the crucial differentiating factor that secured this album's first place spot, even over the technical sophistication of Hornsby, was the production quality.
That's a fascinating point because 80s hard rock is often plagued by overcompression and muddy sound. How did 1984 avoid that trap and impress the reviewer?
Well, the reviewer stresses that 1984 is dynamic, exciting, very heavy, but not muffled to the extent that the melody gets lost. This separation of sound is paramount. Heavy rock often sacrifices clarity for weight and thickness. 1984 achieved both.
So where is that clarity most evident?
It's in Eddie's guitar work. It is noted as being clear as a bell, even amongst the thrashing of rhythm and percussion. This clarity means that the technical brilliance of Eddie's playing, the tapping, the innovative riffs, the searing solos, is never obscured. When the reviewer talks about speed metal overdrive, they can actually hear the intricacy of that overdrive.
That attention to clarity combined with the unparalleled energy and the sheer cool factor that clinched the victory. It's the synthesis of technical execution and raw attitude.
The final assessment confirms this. While it may not be the epitome of 80s hard rock, maybe surpassed by some other works, it is definitively judged as one damn cool album. And in Group 36, coolness and technical execution reign supreme over pleasant pop and disparate hits. So here we are. We've broken down the Round 2 Group 36 results. Let's synthesize these findings and officially confirm the 2 albums that will move on in this album quest.
The final ranking is established. Number 1, 1984 by Van Halen.
Check.
Number 2, The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby and the Range.
Got it.
And eliminated in 3rd place, Room Service by Roxette. And in 4th, Feelin Good.
What this ranking reveals is a very specific hierarchy of artistic value in the album quest methodology. We see the victory of focused, singular artistic intent over pleasant but derivative execution.
Absolutely. The success stories of this group represent 2 highly successful but contrasting forms of studio craft. Van Halen represents pure, dynamic, swaggering rock energy, defined by technical dynamism and production clarity. They succeeded by being maximally cool and technically proficient within their genre.
And Bruce Hornsby and the Range represent the victory of sophistication. That cohesive, genre-blending studio craft rooted in emotional narrative and masterful musicianship. Hornsby has succeeded by offering a mature, textured listening experience that demanded intellectual engagement.
And they both defeated the pleasant efforts. Roxette's album was solid, polished, high-grade craftsmanship, but it lacked the risk, the singular narrative focus, and the overall impact required to compete with true genre leaders. It was good, but not great enough.
And the compilation, while packed with hits, failed due to its necessary structural flaw, a lack of unified artistic direction. The album quest reinforces the idea that an album, to advance, must be greater than the sum of its parts.
It has to have a central, compelling idea that sustains you, the listener, across the full runtime.
It's a stark comparison, isn't it? When you put maximum swagger with technical clarity against maximum narrative sophistication with musical depth, the merely very good and the structurally non-cohesive just fall away.
They do.
But here's where the analysis transcends music critique, where the reviewer slips in a profound, albeit subtle piece of cultural commentary. Remember the note about the title of the winning album, 1984?
Yes, the source explicitly warns listeners the album is not to be confused with George Orwell's dystopian novel.
A necessary clarification.
But then, immediately after praising Eddie Van Halen's technical skill and Dave Lee Roth's swagger, the reviewer drops this unexpected bomb. The novel, Orwell's 1984, appears to be materializing in every aspect of our modern life. Wow, that is a fascinating and sharp pivot. You're deep in the analysis of heavy riffs and synthesizers, celebrating the excess of the 80s, and suddenly you are forced to consider the modern surveillance state and the loss of individual freedom.
So what does this all mean for the album quest? I think it means that even a high-energy 80s hard rock album carries the weight of its title's historical and cultural significance, whether it was intentional or not. The reviewer uses that title, 1984, as a subtle vehicle for injecting contemporary cultural reflection into a discussion about rock and roll.
It ensures that no matter how exciting or escapist the album is, the real world outside the headphones always manages to creep into the analysis. The album quest isn't purely about sound. It's about the entire cultural package, including the context and accidental relevance of the name you put on the record sleeve.
It provides that final, unexpected layer of depth. It reminds us that music appreciation is rarely a purely isolated experience. Even in the pursuit of the best album, the outside world impacts the final ranking.
It's a fitting conclusion to this intense group analysis, showing that critical insight can often be found in the most unexpected pairings. Like pairing Dave Lee Roth's microphone stand choreography with George Orwell's chilling prophecy.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us on this specific segment of the album quest, delving into the demanding criteria and fascinating results of Green Srox's critical musical analysis. It's always insightful to see what survives and why.